Well, I have a question maybe that's a bit more specific
about
what I'm talking about. I've been through this relationship where when it goes well, because I've heard you say, the typical girl needs security, guy needs more freedom.
Everyone wants freedom.
Yeah.
And all of you want security. You're just looking for it in all the wrong places. That security that you seek is the same thing as that freedom that you seek. It's alignment. It's control of how you feel. And no one is ever going to feel in control of how they feel as long as it matters to them what somebody else is doing. In other words, you got to let go of their attention on you and give your undivided attention to the relationship between you and your own inner being, and then you've got it.
But when I get back to my relationship with my own inner being and I feel good and I feel whole and I feel like everything's working out.
All right, so just stay there for a minute before you go to "and then." Let's just milk that a little more. In other words, practice that vibration. What'd you say? I feel whole.
Yeah.
I feel good.
I feel calm,
frisky, clarity. I feel interested. I feel fun.
Yeah.
Stay there a little longer. Breathe that in more. I feel alive. I feel sure-footed.
Yeah.
I feel confident.
Yeah.
I feel brilliant. I have good ideas. I'm translating thoughts into things easily. I feel alive. I feel beautiful. I feel fantastic. I feel important. I feel energized. Don't you want to just keep going here for a little while?
Yeah.
Da-da. And then did you have something else you want to say?
Well, and then I feel good, right? And I feel confident and I feel great. And then the relationship comes back together and it feels good for a while. And then
what relationship?
The relationship with the guy that I'm with.
Oh.
Does it matter?
Well, we're just wondering if you're catering to that relationship rather than to this relationship.
Yeah.
Because this is the relationship that is life-giving. That's the relationship that can be enhanced by the life-giving, but that can't be the one that matters because that one is frivolous by comparison.
Okay. So how do I handle that person? Because I'm just looking at myself and I'm like, I'm great, it's good.
This is the big question that we have for you, for all of you. So sometimes a relationship with the guy is going really well, and your attention to it seems to be the reason that you feel so good. You feel happy, you feel loved, you feel beautiful, you feel appreciated. And then, for whatever reason, that condition goes away. Maybe he falls in a hole. Maybe he turns his attention away from you. But once that condition changes, then you don't feel good. So what you had going on was a very conditional love. But let's say, here you are, tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You figured out that when you don't do that thing you do that makes you feel bad, you feel good. So you've stopped doing that thing you do that makes you feel bad. So you mostly feel good. You feel optimistic. You're meditating every day for 15 or 20 minutes. You're getting out and appreciating what's around. You're walking. You're enjoying life. You're feeling good. You're in alignment. You're turning thoughts to things. You're in the receptive mode a lot of the time. And because you're in the receptive mode, everything that you want is coming to you, including that relationship. So that relationship comes, but your happiness isn't dependent upon that relationship because your happiness came first. Because you're in control of your happiness with or without that relationship. So you're not dependent upon that relationship. So now you're solid there, you see. And the other person feels freer too, because when you make anyone believe that your happiness depends on them, and they can't possibly stand on their head enough different ways to keep you always here, only you can do that. So we just want to talk about the difference between the unconditional alignment and the conditional alignment. And almost everyone, we love you so much, almost everyone is using their relationships in a conditional way. You don't bring me flowers anymore. Or I remember in the beginning you made me feel happier, or. Wouldn't you really like it if you were in a relationship with someone who was tuned in, tapped in, turned on just because they meant to be, and they weren't holding you responsible for the way they feel? Wouldn't it just be really nice to be with someone like that? But you got to be careful, because that's a sort of condition. In other words, we don't want you to need them to always be happy in order for you to be happy. We want you to figure out how to be happy. We want you to be able to say to anyone, I feel good and you're not the reason. That's important. I feel so good and you're not the reason. But usually what you say is, oh, you make me so happy, which means better keep it up. You make me so happy when you take me out to dinner, and you make me so happy when you spend all this money on me, and you make me so happy when you're where I want you to be, when I want you to be there. You make me so happy when I never have to worry about what you're doing. You make me so happy when you have no life whatsoever of your own outside of my needs. That's what you mean. You make me really, really happy when you don't need anything outside of what I need, you see. And they go, I want you to be happy, but I don't know if I want that much. But when you say, I'm a happy girl, I'm happy, and my happiness isn't dependent on you, but if I'm happy and you're happy, we could be happy together, and we could be happy not together, we could be happy together. That's happiness, that's freedom, that's alignment, that's who you meant to be. You say, yeah.
Thank you.
When you were born, you were not born with your mate. Oh, look, I just gave birth to the cutest little couple. They're going to grow up to be so happy together. You are individuals here in this physical experience with a partnership that we can't even begin to define in an accurate way for you. Everyone who you've ever known, everyone who you've ever revered, everyone you've ever felt interested in, as they reemerge into non-physical, and even before, because their inner beings are also interested in you, are focused with you here and now. You have a backup system that is the reason for your happiness. It's not for the conditions that are surrounding you. It's because of the choosing of a vibrational frequency that allows the alignment, that allows the happiness, you see. Happiness must be your goal. Joy must be your goal. This triad of intentions that you were born with, of freedom and growth and joy, all equally balanced and all equally important and all equally practiced and all equally accomplished. You're so free you can choose bondage. You're so free that you can choose not to feel free. That's freedom. You're so free that you can choose to be free or not to be free. Because no one can think your thoughts. No one can issue a vibration for you. No one can accomplish your point of attraction. No one can be the reason that things are coming to you. Only you. That's freedom. That's utter, unequivocal, always constant, steady, never-ending freedom. Freedom, the basis of your experience, and expansion. Because as you stand, you cannot be in this physical experience with whatever degree of awareness that you have without knowing what you don't want and launching rockets of what you do want. And every time that happens, which is all day, every day, you are expanding. So the expansion or growth is inevitable. You can't shut it down no matter what. So freedom and expansion or growth are inevitable. They are unavoidable. They are constants in your experience. But the joy factor is where you have some conscious differentiation. Because you can choose thoughts that feel good, or you can choose thoughts that don't feel good. You can choose thoughts that align you, or you can choose thoughts that don't align you. So the purpose for your experience is not to fix the world that is broken, and not to make the world a better place, not to solve problems. The reason that you came into this physical experience was for the exhilarating experience of from where you are to where you want to be. The reason that you are physical, hear this, the reason that you are physical and not like your inner being, non-physical. The reason that you are in your physical bodies and not like Abraham, not in a physical body. The reason that you are in physical bodies out here on the leading edge is because you came to experience the deliciousness in moving from where you are to where you want to be. To have the experience of turning that vibration into the tangible. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Because you don't have to be here to be thought. And you don't have to be here to feel good. But to have this leading edge experience where you get to be a part of and the reason for and the experiencer of the vibration becoming a see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it reality. That's why you're here. Don't you want to get on with that joyful experience? You see? And did you notice, in reference to the question earlier that we had so much fun with about what do you say when they say, where have you been? Where'd you come from? Have you noticed that when you got here, you didn't remember? Worth thinking about. Because you wanted to come into this new environment where you could accomplish your new expectations on your own, you see. And when you've reemerged, and you have many times, into non-physical, you left behind anything not wanted and took pure, perfect, powerful, wonderful you. And it's from that vantage point that you have come again. That's the cycle. And what's it for? Why? What's the why of it? Because it feels so good to focus and see the result of your focus, for the joy. This is a really good time for a segment of refreshment.